I think that we should try to hang out someday, and we can make a movie about it.
All right. I mean, as long as you're not a Fed.
Dude, what could I do to prove that I'm not fed?
Well, I'm okay. Honestly, I'm okay if you're Fed, but all I want you to do is just look in your heart and maybe as we're talking, just sort of, uh, deep dive into your soul a bit. Like go into the cave of your heart and look in there and just, think about who your paymasters are. And, I'm hoping that to instill you with a greater sense of freedom from maybe the elements that have sort of wrapped their tendrils into you. And I don't know if you're Fed either way. I have no stake in it, honestly. And I don't care if you are a Fed because I feel like, I'm not saying anything that I'm ashamed of. But if you are, I just want that to be clear that that's what I would hope for you. That's my vision for you as a person. And if that's not the case, my vision for you as a person is still to always improve and develop yourself
I
and take
mean,
yourself into new directions and develop potentialities within yourself.
I mean, now that you say that, I mean, I'm really trying to think this through with you. Now that you say that, I have always felt like from the beginning of my life, it's always been as if I'm working for someone else. You know what I mean? In some sense, maybe depending on how one thinks about the meaning of what it is to be a Fed. I mean, Feds, the idea of the Fed might go deeper than people realize. I mean, it's not totally implausible that I'm a Fed in some way that I don't fully understand.
We're all feds onto ourselves. We're all feds against ourselves. That's the whole condition of modernity. There's a struggle with the internal Fed going on inside of all of us. That's the nature of the panopticon. We're all spying on ourselves all the time from the standpoint of purified reason. We're looking in on ourselves and sort of judging our own central actions in order to regulate ourselves. And that's the nature of modernity. Are you familiar with The Spectator? Have you read the works of Joseph Addison?
I don't know the works of Joseph Addison in particular, no.
Oh, he's great. So he had a magazine, around the time of the Acts of Union, um, where it's called The Spectator. And so the premise of that whole magazine was that uh, the writers of The Spectator could be anywhere at any time. They could be anyone. And so they were all observing all the people in the new emerging public sphere. Have you read Habermas?
Yeah, a bit.
Have you read Structural Transformation of the Public Sphere?
Yeah, a bit.
That's a great book. That's a really great book. But that's sort of what I'm talking about if you're familiar with that. Is that that's what the spectator was all about, is that we live in the spectator society, is that the standpoint of pure reason is the one that we all assume. It's the general standpoint of society. It's like where we're not an individual, where we're assuming the perspective of how society sees us. And we're wondering like what not just what an individual among us and how they see me, but we're thinking about how society sees me. And we're using that to regulate our actions. So we're all in that way spying on ourselves, is that we all have that internal panopticon going on that really allows us to be autonomous agents in a mitigated patchwork of post-Kantian compromise.
Okay, in that case, I'm definitely a Fed. Yeah, I'll admit
Well,
it.
we're all feds in that sense, my friend. There's no denying that.
I mean, I'm a Fed, but at least I'm not a retard. Like, if you really want to escape the condition of the Fed, one has to first admit the depths to which one always has been a Fed. And only then do you have the possibility of becoming something different. That's what I think. And so in that sense, I thank you and I thank the audience for forcing me to reckon with the reality.
It's no problem. I'm glad to help.